Hi teachers, welcome back to Lesson Gems. My name is Brother Lammers. I have the lesson scheduled for April the 23rd, Tuesday, or the lesson in your seminary teacher curriculum that is labeled Doctrinal Mastery, Mosiah 2:17. Let me start this lesson gem with a quick story. This past week, I was able to attend a stake seminary graduation in Fargo, North Dakota. I stayed overnight in Fargo, and the next morning, I was able to attend a seminary class there in Fargo, and it was wonderful. The teacher invited me to take a portion of that lesson, and so as I got done teaching, that teacher then stood up and testified that everything that I said was great and was true, but that the power comes in and through and because Jesus Christ. I had taught this whole portion of the lesson, and I had not focused it on Jesus Christ. And the power that entered into the room when this teacher brought it to Jesus Christ completely helped me remember the necessary importance of making all that we do Christ-centered. So with that in mind, can I invite you to consider this as you go through this doctrinal mastery lesson? This doctrinal mastery lesson is great, and it helps you to memorize and help them, but this is how I'm going to introduce the doctrinal mastery lesson from Mosiah 2:17. So right here, when it says, what similarities do you see between, I'm going to change it slightly, and I'm going to go like this. I'm going to invite them to go into John chapter 13, and this is where Jesus Christ washes his apostles' feet. But why did he do it? Your students probably know the story, but within these verses, he tells specifically why he does this. So he goes in and he says, I'll wash their feet, I dress as a slave, and after he gets done washing their feet, he says this, after he had washed their feet and taken his garments and was set down again, he said unto them, do you know why I have done this? Know ye what I have done to you? Verse 15, I have given you an example that you should do as I have done unto you. Then if you scroll down to verses 34 and 35, a new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that ye also love one another. And by this shall men know that ye are my disciples, if you do the things that you've seen me do. And so let's ask this question. Now that our students should have this written in their scriptures or up on the board, the reason he washed his apostles' feet was to show us how to serve others, and that if we would follow his example, we would be known as disciples of Jesus Christ. So let's invite our students to be real. If they had an unknown observer follow them for 24 hours, would that unknown observer that doesn't know anything about them know that they love and serve Jesus Christ? How would they know that? So now we just get their minds going with this. So with this in mind, why did Jesus do it? The invitation to follow and do the things that he did to serve other people, we bring it into this wonderful verse in Mosiah chapter 2, verse 17. The wonderful verse that we all know and love in Mosiah 2:17, behold, I tell you these things that you may learn wisdom, that if you are in the service of your fellow being, you are only in the service of your God. And it's awesome and powerful. So let's invite them to study how Christ modeled service. So let's go through this, and we want to help them identify one-word descriptors. So I'm going to model this first round for them so that they know what we're trying to do as I give them other references. So have them open to Mark chapter 10, verses 13 through 16. And so here's what I want them to do. As they read this story where Jesus Christ there's families and parents bringing their children to Jesus to bless and heal them. And the apostles are like, no, stay away. But then Jesus is like, hold up. Let me show you something. Let me teach you something. And so as you read these verses, what one words would you use to describe what Jesus is doing? He's accepting, he's loving, he's caring, he's observant. Fill in the blank with what the verses that your students, or the one-word descriptors that your students are using, and write them on the board. Now we start to see what Jesus is doing, but it's very hard to misunderstand because we're just using one word. After you've done this and you've modeled it with them, they know that they're just looking for at least one-word statements. Maybe have them do 3 per reference. Invite them to go into 1 or 2 of these references in pairs or groups. Or if you like to keep your class together, have your class do this together and study these verses, raising their hand as they see the one words. Now, with those one-word descriptors on the board that describe how Jesus Christ serves and models serving, how can I intentionally try to serve like that? Pick one word that you can go and live better. And with this initial establishment of these one-word descriptors of how Jesus served, it will absolutely set an awesome guideline for the rest of this lesson of why I want to memorize Mosiah 2:17. As it go through the activity for the rest of the lesson, it is just powerful. Find additional scriptures or statements. Yeah, we've got that right here. We've just studied them. Lastly, it gives this great video about service and our heart and our desires in service. At first, these people didn't want to serve, and it was a burden on their time and their efforts and all that they were doing. And so, if you choose to use this video, relate it back to Jesus Christ. Where was Jesus Christ's heart or desires when he was serving other people? Brothers and sisters, thank you. Thank you so much for all that you do. And I just offer my witness and testimony that if you will take what you're doing in this doctrinal mastery lesson and all the lessons that you do, and if you will make it Christ-centered, let him teach the principle, let him model the principle or the doctrine that you're trying to help them see. Bring it back to Jesus Christ. I promise that there will be more power and that the Spirit can testify with even more force and power if he is testifying of Jesus Christ. Again, I thank you for all your efforts. Keep doing what you're doing.